Hey folks, Dale Davidson here, the Dear VA Guy. I'm glad you're here today. Quick question, can you double dip? Well, what does that mean? So stay tuned. So can you double dip? Generally, no. So if you're entitled to some kind of monetary benefits under more than one provision of the VA laws and regulations, you got to elect which benefit to receive. So let's take a quick example. So if you're entitled to a pension, that's aid and attendance, and compensation, you generally can't receive both. The same is true for other beneficiaries. No more than one award for a pension, compensation, or DIC, okay, can be made at the same time to a widow, a child, or other dependent or survivor of a veteran, okay? Whoa, hold on. Now, Dale, you have told us for a long time that you've always said that there's VA rules and then there are exceptions to the VA rules. I mean, are you just saying that this rule is hard and fast? No, I'm not. There are absolutely exceptions to this rule too, okay? So if you're a dependent and or a survivor and entitled to receive a pension or compensation because of your own military service, or in some cases as a result of the service of another veteran, you can receive both. That's one exception, okay? Pretty rare, but it happens, okay? But wait, there's more, okay? If you currently receive retirement pay, can you also receive VA service-connected disability compensation? Well, again, here that pesky little general rule keeps popping its ugly head up and says, no, okay? You generally get either your full amount of military retirement pay, okay, or the full amount of your VA compensation, okay? You can't get both at the same time. Now, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, because if you're in the military and you're retired, but you earn that retirement, but you're also injured, why wouldn't you get both? Don't know, but that's the rule. So, but this doesn't apply to you receiving benefits from other sources. You know, for example, if you have VA compensation benefits, you can receive the full amount of disability benefits from Social Security, from private long-term disability policies, or state benefit programs, okay? So you may meet the eligibility criteria for both compensation and pension, but the VA is prohibited by law and prohibited by regulation from paying both benefits together, okay? Just another way to control your income, in my opinion. So if you're entitled to both, you can select, okay, but you'll have to waive entitlement to the other. So be careful not to elect the lowest amount. Ouch, that could hurt. I have seen where people have done this and they've accidentally checked the box for the lower amount. That's no bueno, okay? So, but no, it's better to not select, because if you don't select, the VA will automatically pay you the higher benefit. So if you apply for VA pension and VA compensation, if your compensation is higher, they won't pay you the pension, they'll pay you the compensation. Sometimes though, the pension for a single vet is $1,800, and if you've got like a 10% disability, they'll pay you the higher, they'll pay you the pension versus the compensation. So as general, you're generally prohibited from receiving both full amounts of your retirement pay and disability compensation. Should you choose? Well, there are often tax advantages of receiving VA compensation versus military retirement. Currently, VA compensation is not taxable, just like VA pension is not taxable. If you are looking at your tax situation, it may be better to choose the non-taxable one versus the taxable one, because at the end of the day, you'd have more money in your pocket. Okay? So I know many veterans who choose to receive the full amount of VA disability compensation to which they are entitled and waive the equal amount of their military retirement pay. I don't believe in that, but it just happens, okay? So hey folks, don't forget the exception to the general rule though. Exception: retiree veterans with at least 20 years of service. You got to be 100% VA service connected disability. You got to have a 100% rating, okay? You can receive VA disability compensation and your military retirement pay, okay? Fancy words, you get both, okay? General rule, you can't, but here's an exception. You got to have 20 years of service, 100% VA service connected. Not 100% non-service connected, 100% service connected, okay? Another exception here: retirees with 20 years of service who are rated by the VA as totally disabled due to individual unemployability, TDIU, okay? So let's take, for example, you've only got about a 70% rating, but now with TDIU, you get that extra bump up to 100%. You get to receive both, okay? Exception number 3, retirees with at least 20 years of service who have service-connected disability ratings by the VA between 50 to 90% can get both. Okay, now if you're between 50 and 90, my suggestion was we need to get you up to 70 and then take that TDIU to get you to the 100%. Okay, so veterans who have been medically retired from the military under part of the code, the rules and regulations, and have a VA disability rating of at least 10% for combat related disability may be entitled to concurrent receipt, so get both, okay? But this applies to combat related disabilities, and you got to have a disability rating of at least 10%. All right, so this is kind of where we're going to get a little bit complicated here. So I'm going to be talking about concurrent retirement disability pay, CRDP for short, okay? That applies to veterans who receive military retirement pay based on serving 20 years or more active service in the military. So qualified retirees do not need to apply for CRDP. The determination of the amount and initiation of the payment are done automatically by the Department of Defense. So if you're 20 years, you don't have to worry about the CRDP. They're going to go ahead and calculate that automatically. Now, don't get this confused with combat-related special compensation, or CRSC, combat-related special compensation, CRSC. Okay? Again, you can't receive both CRDP and CRSC. Okay? Veterans who are eligible for both can elect one or the other during an annual enrollment period. Sounds like Medicare annual enrollment, and that's usually in January for about 30 days. Okay, so when deciding which benefit to elect, be aware that the CRDP, okay, that's the concurrent retirement and disability pay, is taxed, and the CRSC, the combat retirement service compensation, is tax-free. Okay, So if you're a veteran and you're eligible for both CRSC and CRDP, once CRSC applies, the department or the VA calculates both the CRSC and the CRDP payments, and then elects whichever program is going to pay you the most. Okay, they don't care about the taxes. They're going to say, look, if this one's going to pay you $3,400 and this one's going to pay you $3,000, we're going to pay you the $3,400. Now, caution, be aware that if you are in, say, a really high tax state, let's say that you're in like New York, they have I think it's 12.4% tax rate. Hawaii's 12.31%, Maine's a little over 11%, and Vermont's a little over 10%. I mean, that election, whether or not you pay, that election could be very critical to how much tax you pay. So just be aware that if you're in a high tax state, you may want to talk with your tax advisor to determine which one should you receive, the taxable benefit or the tax-free benefit. Okay. Again, you can't receive both active duty pay and VA disability compensation for the same period, okay? But you can elect a higher benefit. So let's say that you have a pending claim and you die on active duty before the claim is decided. So your surviving spouse may be entitled to continue that claim. So don't worry about it if you pass away during your claim. They can continue that, but they've got to take action sooner rather than later to keep preserving that claim. So we had a lot of veterans who were in the Gulf War and over in the Kuwaiti area and all that. And so when they got out of service, they got out, and then when some of them have returned, okay? But when the time they were out, they started a VA claim for benefits, but then they went back in. So they asked me, does that affect my claim? No, it doesn't affect your claim. What happens is that claim is just put on hold for your extended tour there, okay? And that begs the question, well, if I'm over in the theater, how am I going to report for medical examinations? Well, you're not. Okay, so if you are temporarily unavailable, the VA will make an exception to that, and they're just going to put your claim on hold. Okay, know that the VA can't deny your claim because you're temporarily unavailable due to a return to active service. Okay, now if you are available, then you need to go to your VA exam. Okay. And the VA could continue to process the claim in its usual manner. Again, payments for your disability compensation are resumed after your release from active duty because, again, you can't get both. So, hey folks, I hope you've learned a lot today about whether or not you can double dip. Sometimes you can't, sometimes you can. It just depends on your circumstance. So, hey, check out this video here where I discuss the differences between VA pension and compensation. That I think will shed some light on a lot of your questions. So until next time, you be blessed.